Hey everybody, welcome. I had to unmute myself there. Welcome to another episode of Crossdeck, episode 32 to be exact. I'm glad you're joining me here on this wet, rainy Sunday morning. I spent most of the night in the gym, and I swear I thought I was going to need an arc to get home because it was coming down so hard. So yeah, we're getting a lot of weather here today. It's a perfect day to be indoors. I'm glad I got my grass cutting out of the way yesterday because I'm not doing anything outside today. It's just a deluge pretty much all day. So it's a perfect day to be indoors and in the arcade, really. And I haven't, to be honest, spent a lot of time down here because I'm just too damn depressed of it being half empty right now. But I've spent a little time down here doing some things. One of the things I did was I got my Let's Go sign back. So tips to Danny. He's the one that turned me on to that sign. And the first one I had quit after 2 uses. So I took it back to Hobby Lobby and exchanged it for this one. And this one so far has held up pretty well. I've been a little bit more delicate with it. I power it on and off at the switch that it provides. And so I'm doing that a little different rather than just leaving it in an on state and letting it come on and off with the power strip down below. One of the things that I'm a firm believer on the Tempest, the Atari Legacy encoder board issue, is that it's not handling power surges very well. And well, maybe that's what's happening with the Let's Go sign. I don't know, but I'm doing it differently this time, treating it like it should be treated, which is using the device's own power on and off switch so that I can control the power to it. And I don't have any failures. So gosh, I wasn't here last week. I apologize, but I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to do this if I was in a wrong frame of mind. And one of the topics today is Glen's Build-A-Cade. And after I did my initial live stream build of the Build-A-Cade behind me, I was frustrated. I was angry. I was frustrated at the fact that the stream kind of failed really awful because I did things. I think I went too quickly and not enough patience, and I wound up breaking the DSI ribbon cable connecting points. Specifically, I broke the one on the GRS Build-A-Cade provided monitor. So after that show, I kind of did some self-reflection and I said, you know what? If you're not feeling well, if you're in a bad mood and you're not sure about what you're going to present, don't do a stream. And last week it was kind of a double whammy. I didn't really have anything to talk about, hadn't prepared, but I really wasn't feeling well last week. And part of that is the intensity of which I have been working out lately. I believe it or not, you guys know, those of you who've been watching my channel for quite a while, you guys know that I've been going pretty hard. Anyway, well, within the last 2 weeks, I've really stepped it up. I mean, we're talking, I get up at 12:45 now, or have been, and been doing some extra things. So I've been kind of crushing the workouts too much. And I had an eye-opening visit with my coach on Thursday. And she basically told me I need to take a step back. I need to stop doing all the cardio that I'm doing and worry about weightlifting as a fat-burning tool and not rely on cardio. So I've been kind of a cardio monster of late. With both cycling and running, and it's taken its toll. To be honest, folks, I'm falling asleep at work. I'm not having good sleep when I am sleeping, and for a while there, I was only getting 4 hours of sleep a night. So You got to have 8 hours. You really do. I don't care if you tell me that you can live with 6. Maybe you can. I could probably live with 6, but the body needs a full 8 hours to fully recover from whatever it is you're throwing at it during the day. So I kind of had some self-reflection time after that. After that coach's session, I'm like, I gotta step it back. So I did have a hard workout this morning. I did do a lot of cardio, but my plan is to step back. I'm in this challenge right now, and the challenge ends the end of October. So after the end of October, I'm gonna continue crushing it until the end of October. Then I'm gonna go into winter, what I call winter training mode, and then I'm just gonna focus on lifting some weights. I haven't got the chat up. Let me pop the chat open here so I can see who's here. Hockey Town's here. Good morning. Welcome. And thanks for joining me. All right. So I've been gone for a couple of weeks. A lot has happened. I not prepared with assets or anything, any videos or images, but if you guys want to talk about anything, hot news of the day, let me know in the chat, and we'll talk about it. But some of the things that I noticed happened in the last couple of weeks. Well, we had Arcade 1-Up. There were leaks with Arcade 1-Up, in that we saw that there's another Cabaret coming out, another Pac-Man Plus Cabaret, which I actually kind of like. So will I get it? Probably not, because I have my focus and my heart set on getting a Pac-Man Deluxe. And I just don't need the same game list. Down the line, if the Cabaret goes on sale, yeah, I'll probably look at purchasing the Cabaret formed cabinet, because it would make an easy conversion cab. And some folks out there suggested maybe a Gorf cabinet, and that raised the thing, because I was looking at getting another Tron cabinet and converting it to a Gorf cabinet, but a Cabaret Gorf, that would be awesome. So if the Cabaret goes on sale eventually, I'll look at picking that up and converting it to a Gorf. They also had a leak of the claw machine, which we previously saw leaked on David McIntosh's stream, which, by the way, from my understanding and from my gleaning of information from other videos and streams, it sounds like David McIntosh actually, he confirmed it because he made a post on Reddit. David McIntosh is no longer with Arcade 1-Up, and the rumor is that Cyrus isn't either. So it looks like the old regime at Arcade 1-Up has pretty much changed over. And hopefully, I'm a fan of Arcade 1-Up. Okay, I like what they do. I like what they've done. Some of the things I don't agree with, but on par, mostly, I do like what they've put out. I have a few of their products. I've had a lot of their products at one time and had to sell them. And would I have sold them had I not had to? Probably not. So I'll always be a fan of that company for what they've given us. And I understand that there's a lot of folks out there that aren't a big fan of Arcade 1-Up, and I know Glen isn't. So, to each his own. Okay. I hope that those watch this stream kind of don't consider me what they call a fanboy of Arcade 1-Up. Because I hope that I always tell you I hope that you always view me as a straight shooter when it comes to my own opinion on these products. Like I said, there's some things that Arcade 1-Up has done that I don't agree with. So, and there's a lot that I do, and it makes me happy. And at the end of the day, you just got to be happy with what you obtain for your own home arcades. So the big question for me is, does it make me happy? Whenever I look at making a purchase, will it make me happy? and does it fit my budget? That's another big thing. Those two things aren't there. Well, then it's easy to pass. So I kind of started going over to the claw machine rumor. Well, it's actually not a rumor. It was leaked on the website. I don't have the websites that they were on handy. Sorry about that. Again, that goes to not being fully prepared, but I am not typically a news channel. I'm just here to chat with you guys about home arcade stuff. So, but the claw machine, is it something I would purchase? You know, my grandkids would probably love it, but they're not here that often. So am I going to spend $4.99 on something that for me is, if I could reskin it, if enough artwork comes out, maybe, but I would only buy it if it came on sale. $4.99, it's just an instant pass for me. It would fill that space right here kind of nicely because I have nothing there, but I'm focused on rebuilding this arcade. Okay. It's half empty. So I want to put things back in here that are going to give me that nostalgic look and feel. So anyway, you got news from @Games. You got the Jurassic Park table announced, and then within the last 2 weeks, I think some fixes have come out for some of the 4K pinball games, and I don't have. We're going to talk about that in a minute, Quarterdeck. Thanks, and welcome to the show. I appreciate it. We are going to talk about that in a minute because he kind of challenged us on his stream. Those other YouTubers out there, and specifically the news channels, of which I don't consider myself one, but I'm going to give him some love today, and we'll talk about that in a few moments. But yeah, a lot of good feedback from some of the recent updates to some of those 4K pinballs. And I'm not a 4K pinball owner. I have an HD back in the corner there, which is skinned as a Metallica pinball. So I haven't made the leap to 4K yet, which brings me to the Jurassic Park pinball. Am I going to buy that? The answer is no. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for the Jurassic Park IP. I love the movies, even the newer ones. I loved them. But do I have any nostalgia for a Jurassic Park themed pinball? No. So I'm still going to take a wait on the 4K pinball. So there are a lot of people that are excited about the Jurassic Park skin. Great. Go for it if you want. But it's just not an IP that throws out a lot of nostalgia for me. So I think I'm going to hang on. I will tell you, the @Games 4K pinball that I have the most nostalgia for is the Snoopy. And I used to read the Snoopy comics religiously when I was a kid. I had a book. A book that was that thick of Snoopy cartoons. I wish I knew what happened to that. That would be great to have, kind of as a nostalgic thing in and of itself. So if I were to buy a 4K today with what's available, it would be the Snoopy. Number one, because yellow is my gal's favorite color. And number two, because I have a lot of nostalgia for the Snoopy characters, the Snoopy comics. And so that table would just be fun for me. But I am not in a financial position to buy a 4K pinball. And if I were to buy a 4K pinball, I would get the SSF kit. I would get the topper. I would get everything. I would save up and get the money, have the money set aside for the full-blown 4K version of Snoopy. But that's not my priority right now. My priority is other 3/4 scale arcades. And so, down the line, I'm going to kind of take a wait and see as to what @Games does as far as skins. So I basically want to see what their future skin announcements are. If it's another IP that I really have a lot of nostalgia for and that trumps Snoopy, I might go for that. We'll see. We had news in the last couple of weeks. Media One Up started a Facebook page, John D. And something strange going on in that group too. He's locked it at 333 members. So I haven't looked up what the significance of 333 is. John, I'm sorry. I will check it out at some point, but I'm sure it's a significant number to you. But I'm kind of curious what this Media One Up company will be. And so I'm intrigued just as much as anybody else. Let me know what you think about Media One Up and the At Games news and the Arcade One Up news as well. Not too much to talk about with regards to Media One Up, but it's kind of a take a wait and see, and that's what I'm doing. We'll wait and see what he does, and so. The other news that came out was the Costco Jurassic Park Stern by Stern, the real pinball. Not interested in that either. Again, not an IP I'm interested in. So, and number two, I just don't have $5,000 to be throwing around. So, even on financing, no, that's just not a wise purchase decision for me. So, those of you that want to get it, great, have fun with it. Looks like a beautiful table, but again, for me, it doesn't bring out any nostalgia. So it's not a purchase that I'm focused on. We had another company that, and I'll apologize. I have watched some videos of content creators that did videos on this. The company Basic Fun, which apparently licenses a whole crap ton of products out that we all know and love, is considering coming out with an XL size version of Centipede. And if that happens, and that's a lot of nostalgia right there for me, but if this company comes out with a Centipede XL version, I'm all over it, especially if the orientation is correct, if the monitor orientation is vertical instead of horizontal like Arcade One Up has done. Still there are a couple of original Gen 1 Centipedes out there for sale in this area, but they're asking way too much for it. Maybe the price is justified because it's a rare cabinet, but I don't know. If I have 300, one of the cabinets is going for $300 in this area. But the control panel deck is worn, and I realize you can buy artwork to throw over it and redo it, but just to have Centipede in a vertical monitor orientation would be awesome. So we got to take a wait and see on what this company Basic Fun does. I'm cautiously excited. Let's put it that way. I want to see how much it costs, and what it's built like, if it's a true form factor, and that monitor orientation. If it looks good, I'll probably pick it up because I've been on the market for a Centipede machine for my arcade for quite some time. And the only thing that kills me with the Arcade One Up version is the monitor orientation. I don't like to have a stretched out Arcade One Up. Ted, welcome to the show. Appreciate it. Yeah, he talks about Glen's full-size Build-A-Cade. Yeah, a lot of drama was discussed on Friday night, Glen's Friday night show. By the way, there's a link to Glen's Friday night show in the description of this stream. So if you want to check it out, there's a quick link for you. I've also linked up T-Sticks. So that if you are want to look at any of Glen's products, great. Glen did also a 10-minute video this morning talking about that stream from Friday night, and I appreciated that. So I love Glen. I really do. And I love what he does for the community. He does a lot. And I don't know the full details, and I don't think any one of us know the full details of what went on between him and Arcade One Up. But you know, if he's got a reason to have a beef, I'm not, who am I to argue with it? You know, something went on. I understand that. And I feel bad for the guy. If he feels he was badly treated, and maybe he was. I don't know, because I don't know every detail. And I don't like to make decisions one way or the other. So, Glenn, you have my sympathies, and I hope that you know, by your video this morning, we can all move forward from what happened. And but you're a good guy, Glenn. I love what you do, and that leads me to what I want to talk about last. Let me switch over here. So, as you could see, first of all, let me catch up with the chat. Now, Ted also says, by the way, welcome to the show, Ted. Appreciate it. He's hopeful that John D and Media want to do well as well. You're new to the community, missed a lot of the history, but focused on the products. And that's a good attitude to have. Let's just focus on the products. What makes us happy? Okay. Like I said earlier, you do to your arcade what you think makes you happy. What makes you happy? Not what you think makes you happy. What actually makes you happy? So there are some Arcade 1-Up products that I want to get. And I probably will get eventually when the situation improves for me. But, you know, to each his own. That's what I've always said about, you know, being in this community, is to each his own. Don't knock somebody because they want to go one way or go with one vendor. Just have fun. Have fun. You know, if you don't agree with a product, if you buy something and you don't like it, sell it. Get rid of it. Be done with it. Move on. That's easy to do. I don't think there's been a single product that I've bought that well, no, I take that back. There has been one product, and I actually gave it away on this channel, and that's the Arcade 1-Up Collector-Cade, the Pac-Man Collector-Cade. Oh my God, Arcade 1-Up, what were you thinking with that product? So I thought I'll give it away on my channel, and I did. It was still in box. So, oh yeah, that's the only thing that I really hated. Everything I've bought for this arcade, I've loved. And to have to sell it tore me apart. I did not want to sell what I sold. So, but you got to do what you got to do, right? So anyway, what you're looking at is, welcome Fireside. Yep, Centipede's on my list of top 5 arcade games of all time. So maybe top 10. I might be stretching that a little bit, but I do love Centipede. I have a lot of nostalgia for that game. But welcome to the show, Fireside. Appreciate you joining. By the way, everybody, if you like this stream, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I really do appreciate that too. Again, hobby for me. Love doing this for fun, and that's all I'm in it for. So, all right. So what you're looking at is, and there's a lot of history with this particular Build-A-Cade, but what you're looking at here on display is my finished. Oh, did I run down the batteries on it? Oh man. No, I just needed it. It shuts off after a time to preserve the battery, I think. I bought this little rotating display specifically for this purpose. I got to give credit to Glen, because here, let me there we go. Oh, see, now live issues with OBS. It stopped on me again. Okay, well. Go back the other way. So I bought this thing. I got the idea from Glen to display smaller things. It was cheap. It was under 20 bucks. I got it off Amazon. So uh, this is my finished Build-A-Cade. Like I said, as I started to say, there's a lot of history with this particular. Stopped on me again. All right, enough with this. I'm not gonna mess with it. I'll turn it a little askew. So I've made some community posts about this, but what I do want to point out is long time ago, I did a video. Let me see whereabouts it was. Scrolling back through my videos. When did I do this or attempt to do this build? I'm looking. I don't see it. Did I delete it? I couldn't have deleted it. Search across your channel. Aha. It was episode 8 back in January. So you all can go back and watch that stream, but I got to tell you right now, it's not one of my best. I got really frustrated that day. I actually got angry with Glen and the company because I felt like, it was too complicated. Well, it's not, okay? And being in the computer field as I am, I did not have enough patience that day. So Glen, my full apologies to you and your company because this is truly a great product. It really is. You just have to have patience putting it together. If you have large fingers, you might have issues. And I'll tell you, the one thing that really tripped me up that day was that DSI ribbon cable, the video ribbon cable that goes from the Raspberry Pi to the back of the GRS monitor. So Glen was really nice about it. I emailed him after that show and told him I screwed up the monitor. He sent me one free of charge. Okay. So the guy just likes to help out. Okay. And he's helping, he loves to help out the community. And so I set that project aside. I got the new monitor in. He even sent another ribbon cable and a screw kit with it. And that was just really great of him. I really appreciated it, but I promised myself I wouldn't revisit it until I backed off and actually had some patience. And so with everything that's gone on in my arcade, I decided to revisit it. But I wasn't going to film it. I wasn't going to have the pressure of a live stream. Nothing. I took everything up to the kitchen table, and my gal was watching TV. I was kind of watching with her, just I took my time with it. And of course, it was partially built already from the stream I had done, episode 8. But, so I had to take it apart. And the thing I really appreciated, because I kind of walked back the instruction manual when I took it apart, because I wanted to make sure the screws, I had the right size screws going to the right area each time. I did not want to mix up the screws. So I saved all the screw packages, and Glen has a nice diagram up on his website somewhere of all those screw packages available. And I printed that, and it was kind of a guide. So I had to walk back, take everything apart, put the new monitor in, and carefully put that DSI ribbon cable in, which I did. But now I knew how that DSI ribbon cable connector on both sides worked. You gently pull it up. That's basically it. I was trying to flip it down and I broke it doing that. So had I been patient, studied the product videos that already existed at that time, I probably would have been a lot better at it. But anyway, I digress. It's together now. This particular build has a Raspberry Pi 3B, and I feel like that's the best one. I haven't tried others, but from what I've gleaned from Reddit and from some of the videos I've watched, the Raspberry Pi 3B seems to be the one that kind of works best. Depends on what game you want to play too. I would think. I'm me coming from the 70s and 80s retro era. It doesn't take much to run what I like to play. So anyway, the nice thing about this thing is its features. I have all the control panels Glen offers. Well, I don't have one. It's on order. The 6 button, which is sold separately. I did not get that initially, so I ordered that last week. It should be here in the next couple of days. And I also bought the pod that I can swap out control panels in that, rather than have to take this thing apart and put in a new control panel. So the buttons are great on it. I've played a handful of games and they all play really well. I mean, the joystick is terrific. The buttons are terrific. The one thing that seems a little off to me about this particular unit is the coin door button on the left side sticks. So I don't know why that is. But it's kind of minor to me because I know what to do to unstick it now. And I've gotten used to using the right one, the right coin in button to coin in. So the nice features about it are via the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, you have 2 USB ports, you have an HDMI out. And I have tried the USB ports because I connected a keyboard and mouse up to it initially to get it set up, because when you first turn this thing on, you have to connect it to your Wi-Fi network so that it can download the actual RetroPie software that drives it. So once I got everything together, I discovered that I had another problem. The ribbon cable for the SD card extension that connects to the back of the unit and then runs back to the Raspberry Pi, that cable appeared to be bad, because every time I plugged in the SD card to the extension cable, it wouldn't boot. Couldn't get it to boot, nothing. But when I took out the extension cable and plugged the SD card directly into the Raspberry Pi, which is not easy to do. Again, if you have large fingers, it's not something you're going to be able to do while it's all put together. But I have tiny fingers. So I was able to put the SD card into the Raspberry Pi while the thing was built. And then I fired it up and it worked fine. So that kind of indicated to me, well, maybe I got a bad ribbon cable. So what I did was, this time, rather than email Glen, I just said, you know what, I'm going to support this dude. And I discovered that on the T-Sticks website, he's got all the parts for this thing for sale separately. So if you have something that has gone bad and you just want to pick up a replacement or have spares in case something goes bad down the line, well, you can buy you need a new ribbon cable, fine, buy the ribbon cable. And that's what I did. I actually bought 2 just in case I have another failure in one of the new ones that I'm going to set up hopefully soon. So I have a spare ribbon cable on deck for the SD card extender if I need it. So I had that issue, but I lived with it for a while because all I did was stick the SD card into the Raspberry Pi, button the unit up, and then I just started doing my setup. I started loading it, um, and I even did a scrape. Those of you who are familiar with RetroPie know what scraping is. It's where you actually contact an external website or external internet site to download the game information and images into your RetroPie configuration. And then when you pull up the menu, it has that image and that video, and it plays a little bit of that video on the Build-A-Cade menu. So that's pretty nice to have, pretty nice feature to have. So the techie in me was really happy with this thing. Again, you guys know I like to poke around. I like to do things. So I don't know much about Emulation Station or RetroPie, but I know enough to be dangerous. So I've been learning as I've been adding games to it. And so I'm currently in the process of building an image that I'm going to use going forward. That's my image. Okay. It's an image that'll have the games that I most care for. I don't need any one of these images that have 1,700 games on it. I don't. I just want the games that I have nostalgia for, I've played before, and I'm going to have fun with. So that's what I'm focusing on adding to the Build-A-Cade. One thing I want to mention, this is a vertical cabinet. This is a vertical monitor cabinet, and the games that are horizontal are going to look tiny on it. So, I mean, they're still playable. They're just a little bit smaller, but the vertical games look great. They look terrific on this thing. Now, I did catch something that Glen said about a year ago, a comment in some post, I believe in the Build-A-Cade Facebook page. And all he said was stay tuned, because somebody had complained about the horizontal games on a vertical monitor, and he did put out a stay tuned. And so I took that to mean that he was working on a mod to the Build-A-Cade to allow you to switch between horizontal and vertical orientation, kind of like the At Games Mini does, where you can just take a suction cup and unscrew it and then flip it. Which I do have upstairs in my office, is my At Games Mini. So things I appreciate about this thing, the controls on the back. There's going to come a time where you don't have, if you have a control panel that just has like the spinner and a few buttons, then the menu is going to be hard to navigate. So there's a button on the back. Here, I'll turn it around. So this is the back of it. And I apologize if you guys can't hear me too well. I'm not mic'd up. But here's your HDMI out, your 2 USB ports. You've got your power in, which is a USB-C, your power button, and then there's 2 buttons here, and then a joystick. And that's basically so you can navigate the menu. And these are your action buttons here, coin in and action. And then you've got your volume button. And then there's a soft reset button here too, if you ever need it. All right. Anyway, I'm very happy with it. One thing I have not tried yet, now maybe I should try it on this stream, is connect it up to HDMI. I do have my TV over here. Right now it's connected to my other RetroPie, which was I actually bought, configured. So didn't have to do anything to that except add my games to favorites. But maybe I'll maybe as we wind down the stream, maybe it's something I'll test because I haven't played around with it yet. What else do I want to say about this? The artwork that comes with it is nice. It's kind of Space Invader-y, but let me tell you what I have in mind for this particular unit in the future. I'm going to strip the existing artwork off, and I'm going to buy from Joe Zabo the Miss Pac-Man artwork package for this, so that number one, my gal is a huge Miss Pac-Man fan, and I'm sick of waiting for Arcade 1-Up to come out with a properly skinned Miss Pac-Man. So I'm going to move forward with putting Miss Pac-Man art kit from Joe Zabo on here, and this will become my Miss Pac-Man 1/6 scale. Again, building out the image on it. I'm not done with that yet. Speaking of that, well, I want to show you one of the neat things about this thing that I really, really, really love. What I want to do? I want to do. I want to do that app. Okay, so I'm going to share this out. Okay, this is going to the screen's going to look a little funky because of the. Let's see how I can do this. That's better. All right. So one of the neat features about that I really love, and I'm a Linux guy, or Linux, however you pronounce it. I've been working with Linux since the version 1 days. So those of you who know Linux know how old that is. I've been working with it, the operating system, even before it became mainstream. So this is based off a Linux kernel. And so I appreciate, I wonder if I can get rid of design. Trying to get rid of. How do I get rid of the? How do I get rid of the names? Participant names. Let's turn those off for a minute. There we go. All right. Get that off the screen so you can see the actual console. So this is when you set your Raspberry, or I'm sorry, when you set up your Build-A-Cade on your network, attach it to your Wi-Fi, it becomes available on your network. It broadcasts its name as first of all, it has its own IP address that it gets from your provider's DHCP service, and then but the interesting and the neat thing is that it broadcasts. I'm going to guess this depends on whatever provider you have, whether or not it does. What do they call that? They call that automatic update of DNS or DHCP, whatever that is. But the bottom line is you can actually browse to the file system on this RetroPie from your computer on the same network. That is so freaking useful. Okay, so loading games on here is amazingly easy. Okay, but what I like to do is I like to go into the operating system, and it tells you right here that I still have the default password. By the way, the default user and password is, the user is Pi, and the password is Raspberry. So get it, Raspberry Pi. I haven't changed that yet. Nobody can come into my network anyway unless they're actually attached to my Wi-Fi. So and the odds of somebody driving by my house knowing that I have a RetroPie with the default ID and password are very slim. Now you all know it now, and maybe you could try jumping on my Wi-Fi if you can, if you know the password to my Wi-Fi. Then you'll know how to get to my RetroPie. But eventually, I'll change the password, maybe even change the user. But I don't know if that would affect the installation of Emulation Station or RetroPie. So password probably initially. But anyway, I'm basically SSHing into my RetroPie on the screen on the right there. And very nice. It gives you little details about the status. It tells you the IP address of it. So you can see I have an IP address of 192.168.1.96. That's the home network internet address that was assigned by my DHCP server. And then, it sees the file system. There's 3.2 gig used. There's 24 gig available. So I have plenty of room for additional games if I wanted. Again, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to put, I'm using a 32 gig micro SD card, by the way. So, but it's nice because, and I'll kind of drive you through some of this stuff and show you where some of the RetroPie stuff is. So this is, I'm typing some Unix commands. So, don't feel bad if you don't know what I'm doing. I'm basically showing you I'm in the Pi user's home directory, and that's where the RetroPie is installed. So you've got several folders under here: splash screens, ROMs, RetroPie menu, splash screens, and BIOS. I don't know what all of these mean, but I do know that the BIOS folder contains the audio samples for some of the MAME related images. And I found that out. Thankfully, somebody in the Build-A-Cade community and Facebook helped me out with that. But the important directory for everyone out there who buys one of these is the ROMs folder. And if you look, there's a bunch of other folders on here for emulators that are apparently installed on this version of RetroPie. And the only one I care about is the arcade folder, which is here at the bottom. So I'm not going to go in there because I don't want to, all my ROMs are in there now. And suffice it to say, they're all zip files. And the ROMs/arcade folder is where they go. I'll show you another way to get at this folder in a second. So that's the one folder on the Build-A-Cade that you got to worry about is that arcade folder where you dump your ROMs. And then I'll show you where the samples go. So under BIOS, MAME 2003. So in the BIOS folder under MAME 2003, there's a samples folder. So if you're familiar with MAME, if you've worked with MAME ROMs before, you know about samples files. And they're basically files that complete the audio experience of the ROM. Not all information is able to be packaged into the ROM. So some of the audio, and a big one of that would be, well, Galaga is one. There's a Galaga sample. And then Gorf is another one that you'll need a sample. Yeah, there's a Gorf sample, I believe. Again, don't want to go in this folder because I don't want to make my ROMs list a part of this video. So those two folders are all you have to worry about. You really don't need to worry about samples unless you don't like missing out on some of the game effects in the audio. With Galaga, I will say, what's missing is the ship explosions. So if you don't have the audio sample file, again, that's also a zip file. If you don't have that, then you're not going to hear the ship explosion. So that was important to me to get that back. So I already have a library of samples, and I uploaded them to this folder after I found out from the Facebook group, and I loaded them here, and I was fine after that. So 2 folders. That's all you got to remember. Really, you only have to remember the ROMs/arcade folder. All right, so that's one way to access the file system of your Build-A-Cade. Now you don't have to. You won't be able to upload your ROMs through this SSH interface. So how do you add ROMs? Well, let's bring this down. And then I'll bring up a Windows Explorer window. All right, so, and then let me share that out so you all can see what I'm doing. There it is, share. All right. All right, so this is a Windows 11 Explorer. Again, go side by side. Oh, you can't really see that. Stretch that out a little bit. I apologize if the font on there isn't too good. Let's see if I can make it bigger. No. Well, just bear with me. All right, so what I want to do, so what you can do is once you have your RetroPie, or I keep saying RetroPie, once you have your Build-A-Cade connected to your network, you can actually go directly to the file system using Windows Explorer. So I'll type / RetroPie, and then I'll just hit enter on that. Oh, this isn't going to work, is it? It actually wanted me to enter credentials. I've never been challenged for credentials to get in. Interesting. So if you get challenged for credentials, it's the default user ID and password unless you change the password. So here's the folders that are shared on the network that you can access. And these are the same folders that I just showed you via the SSH interface. So you got your BIOS folder. If I navigate in there and I go into the main 2003, there's your artwork and samples folder. So your samples can go here. Now, the nice thing is, what you can do here is you can bring up an Explorer window to navigate into your RetroPie, and then you can bring up a second window to go to the location on your computer's hard drive that you have your ROMs and your samples stored, and you drag and drop. It becomes or copy and paste, whichever works better for you. So it's a simple process of just using Windows Explorer. There are other videos out there that actually talk about this. I'm not going to do a walkthrough of it. I'm just going to show you, this is a cool thing about this little handy device. So we go back to the RetroPie and look at the, there's a Build-A-Cade folder, configs, themes, backgrounds, BIOS, splash screens. But here again, here's the ROMs folder. And you see all the folders that I had shown in the SSH interface. So again, the one we care about is the arcade folder. And in that folder is where all your ROMs are going to drop. I'm not going to navigate into there. Suffice it to say, they're all zip files. And if you don't know what a MAME ROM is, Google it. There's plenty of information out there. There's even sites out there that actually you can obtain ROMs from. But I'm not gonna go down that road. So, but that's how easy this thing is to work with. So, like I said, I felt like I needed to issue an apology to Glen because, yeah, while the initial build was frustrating, what I was most frustrated about, it was a live stream and the live stream wasn't going well. But after I got done building this thing, and yeah, I had a setback or two with the SD card ribbon cable not being bad, having to wait on that. Once I got this thing together, it's just amazing. Okay, I'm a full believer in this product, and if you're a fan of the 1/6 scale line of products from both Numbskull, and uh, New Wave Toys, you'll be a fan of this, and even more so because this is much more flexible. What you can do with it. So I'm a fan. And I already talked about the plans for this particular unit. It's going to get skinned Miss Pac-Man. There's another content creator out there, Kev Gret, which some of you are familiar with. He had a video the other day. He skinned his as Miss Pac-Man, and it just looks gorgeous. So he received his skin from Joe Zabo and applied it, and his Build-A-Cade just looks amazing. So that's because my gal loves Miss Pac-Man so much, this one is destined to be a Miss Pac-Man skin. What's next for me? Okay. Well, behind this Build-A-Cade, you see 3 boxes. Okay. You see 3 boxes, and in front of those 3 boxes, you see a box for a Raspberry Pi and a box for a Raspberry Pi or a Build-A-Cade power supply. So each one, I've already got the Build-A-Cade, I've got the Raspberry Pi, and I went out and bought power supplies for the Build-A-Cade. Now, the power supply port that's directly on the Raspberry Pi is different than what the Build-A-Cade gives you on the back of the Build-A-Cade. There is a cable that goes into the Raspberry Pi that then connects to the back of the Build-A-Cade, and it basically becomes a USB-C port. And what I found out the hard way, because I had ordered what do they call them? Micro USB ports. It's a different shape. I thought I had them nearby. I must not have. I had ordered 3 of those Raspberry Pi power cables. Well, those aren't going to work because you need a USB-C power cable. So I went out, those white boxes on the right of each Build-A-Cade box, that's the power supply. It's a USB-C. So just make a mental note of that. You're going to need the USB-C for the Build-A-Cade power port. And once I got that, once I got that, I was up and running and batteries charged. By the way, this thing gives you about a 3.5 to a 4 hour experience, depending on what you're doing with it. All my games are pretty light. They're very low impact. So I can't believe I'm sucking up too much of the battery. But on general, I think I've had it off battery for about 3.5 hours before I recognized that I needed to get some juice. So that makes this thing very portable. You could take it anywhere you want to go, really. And what I recommend is, if you're going to take it to like a hotel with you, is bring an external controller with you and an HDMI cable. Plug it into the hotel's TV and lay in bed and play some games. That's if you have a controller that's like wireless. You don't want wires running all over the hotel room. So again, big fan. But the 3 products behind you, I'm kind of hemming and hawing how I'm going to go about those. I may do live builds on those, but it's going to be a while off because, as you all know, it takes a little bit for Joe Zabo to produce your order, and so that's what I'm waiting on right now. I'm waiting on Joe Zabos to get me the artwork that I need. What have I bought? So there's 3 boxed units behind this one. What are those destined to become? Very simple. And they're all games that I have a lot of nostalgia for, and they're all Nintendo games. The Donkey Kong Jr., and Popeye. That's what I have on order right now. So when the artwork comes in, I suck at making videos. As you all know, you're still waiting on the Simpsons video. So what I'll probably do is do live builds, attempt a live build, but I know what to expect now. I shouldn't get as frustrated as I got that initial time back in January. So I know what to look for. I know how to do it. I know how careful I need to be. So I might attempt another live build on one of these things, and you all can watch me skin it. So, and there, Glen has a great video on his YouTube page of him applying artwork to the Build-A-Cade, and it's amazing. Now, the thing about the Nintendo line of artwork that Joe Zabos is producing is he's also producing a 3D printed piece that will attach to the side pieces of the cabinet to make it more of a Nintendo cabinet design look and feel. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to making doing those mods and adding those to my growing 1/6 scale collection, which Berserk was the latest one from New Wave Toys. So looking forward to getting those in. So that's my plan. One other thing I haven't talked about is you can get the Build-A-Cade now with a very extremely reasonable price. As you all know, these Build-A-Cades are upwards of 89, I think 89.99. Maybe they're 99.99 now. I think they are 99.99. But Glen has that code TMG50, I believe it is. Let me look that up because I don't want to. I've got Glen's page open. It's TMG50. Here, let me share that screen out. So this is the T-Sticks webpage. So you can see here, you can buy the Build-A-Cade now, 50% off. So $50 for a Build-A-Cade. That is damn reasonable for one of these 1/6 scale arcades. Yeah, you're going to spend a little bit more money because you got to buy the Pi, the Raspberry Pi, separately. I got mine off Google. You're gonna want to buy artwork, so that's a trip to Joe Zabos, and these kits cost. Well, the Nintendo kits cost $65 a pop. So you're spending right off the bat about $40 for the Pi. You're spending $65 for the artwork, and you also need a power supply, and that's $10 on Amazon as well. So all told, that 50% off you're going to throw towards the Pi, the power supply, and the artwork. But you would already do that if this thing was full price anyway. So you're getting a huge break by Glen here by getting the deal. So and for all their products on his site, he's offering a deal. So you can see there, TMG30, the code TMG30. You can buy a Star Wars control, his famous Star Wars control, or his Tron stick, and his spinner and his trackball. All of that stuff you could get for 30% off right now. If again, going to the Build-A-Cade section, look, he's got a separate listing for every part that goes into the Build-A-Cade. So USB extension cable for Build-A-Cade. Nope, that's not what I got. I got this one. So this is the part I talked about that I needed to replace on the one Build-A-Cade that I have built. So $6 for it. So I bought two. But again, if you need all of that, if you need any one of the individual parts to replace any one of them, he's so great in making every single part available separately for purchase. Yeah, the shipping is kind of, yeah. I agree with you, Fireside, but yeah. I try to when I order from Glen, I try to group everything together in one shipment. Didn't always happen that way when I was finishing off this particular Build-A-Cade. The other thing too that I bought, so I bought this, which is the 6-button control panel. This did not come. What I originally bought was there was a box with 4 control panels in it. This 6-button control panel did not come in that box. So I noticed that when I was going through his website earlier in the week. I'm like, I need that. So I ordered it with the panel pod. This thing. And this is basically a separate external holder of those Build-A-Cade control panels. So $20, and I bought one, and I figure I'll be able to easily swap out the control panels with this thing than I would having to take the Build-A-Cade partially apart to get the new control panel in. Pardon me while I get a drink of water. Thanks, folks. I appreciate it. But I've watched a video on this while I was cycling the other day, and I'm like, that's pretty damn easy. It's magnetic too. There's not like screws or anything. It's held together by pretty strong magnets. So I was excited about that. And that's basically how it assembles, or how you see each part go together. Again, like I said, there's a helpful video out there on how to assemble this on Glen's webpage. So check it out. Anyways, I really wanted to make this into a kind of a love fest for Glen, because he does amazing things for the community. He really does. But we haven't talked about it yet. Let me pull this down. Let me share the other screen. Nope, that's not it. Where is it? Or did I lose it? Come on, you got to be out there. There it is. So those of you who regularly watch Glen's show on Friday nights, Glen's Retro Show, you already know about this news, okay? But he had a huge revelation Friday night that not a lot of people seem to be talking about. Now, granted, I have not gone back and rewatched all the live streams that occurred between Friday and today. But huge news. He announced on his show Friday night that he is working with other vendors to put out a full-scale version of the Build-A-Cade. That's right, a full scale, not a 1/6, not a 3/4, a full-sized cabinet. And I didn't have enough time to go over the details. But I figured I could probably just I don't think he'd mind if I played a small clip of this, and we'll listen to it together. Oh man, I'm sorry, guys. I thought I had this set up. I can hear it. Obviously, you can't. Um, I got all my. Hockeytown. Tell me, those of you that are still in the chat, can you let me know if you can hear the audio? Okay. I'm being told that the audio is not coming through for you. Anyway, uh, I'll just bring that down. What he was saying, what he was announcing, was a full scale um, version of a Build-A-Cade, basically. And he may come up with another marketing name for it. But the things that I got excited about, a 24, 25-inch monitor, rotating monitor, a monitor kind of like the At Games Mini that you can rotate. Okay, Ted, thank you. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why that is. It's the first video I think I've tried to play through the stream, so I'll figure that out later. But so he's hoping for pre-orders by Christmas. He wants to do this as a crowdfunding type thing. So he'll probably announce down the line a Kickstarter or crowdfunding campaign to get this thing funded. He doesn't have any amounts or he hasn't sorted through all that yet, but hoping to have it out by the pre-order available by Christmas. Interchangeable control panels. So that's exciting to me. It sounds like he's going to have a bit pixel like or an LCD like marquee changer. That's exciting to me. And I already mentioned the rotating monitor. So and the size of it was like 24 to 25 inches. Now he mentioned Joe Zabel's name, so my thinking is Joe Zabel is going to be brought in on the dimensions of this product early so that he can start working on the right dimensions for artwork to skin the cabinet any way you want. So this is exciting news. I know I probably don't look like I'm excited, but I'm very excited about Glen's announcement on Friday night, and I look forward to it, because if it turns out to be as good as this Build-A-Cade behind me, I I'm going to I'm just going to love it. I know I am. So I look forward to finding out how much and when. So right now I'm going to be planning to save up some money to help repopulate this arcade, but I'm also going to set aside a little bit of money or funds for Glen's new project. So I'm excited, looking forward to it. But that was the announcement. And again, the link is in the description if you want to go back and watch that video on your own. I do apologize that I couldn't play his snippet for you, or the audio didn't come through. But it is what it is. Again, I'm not a pro. I have a better setup than most, but I still don't know how to work most of it. I got to figure out how to do that. I got the audio. I can't go over it now. If I go down that hole. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. That's all I got. We glossed over a lot of the news from the past 2 weeks. Again, I've seen the streams. I've seen some of the announcements. I've seen some of the leaks. And if I had to pick one thing that I'm excited about out of all the things we talked about earlier, it's Glen's full-size Build-A-Cade announcement. And I think that's important. So it's important for the community, because everybody in the community knows what Glen does for us. And I'm going to support the guy, and I hope you do too. So that's all I got for today. I got other things I got to do. It's a rainy day here in Wisconsin. No outdoor activities for us today, so it's a good day to stay inside, do arcade stuff. So I'm going to do some of that. Got to go upstairs and pay the bills first, though, and do laundry, all that home domestic stuff that people got to do. But I'm going to have some fun today. And maybe I'll go live later and do some actual gameplay. I'm not a gameplay channel, but I've always wanted to try one, see how it went. And but as you can see behind me, my choices at what to stream live are very limited. Let me go. So just to bring in the entire arcade. Well, I've got one camera aimed down, but you can kind of get the gist. I don't have much. So, yeah, it's pretty sad. But I have made 2 rules for myself, two goals that I have to achieve before I can buy another arcade one-up. Not going to say what those are. They're financial related. That's all I'll say. But that's one of the reasons I'm going upstairs to pay bills now, is so I see where I'm at with that. And then once I achieve those 2 goals, I'm ready to buy another arcade one-up. And trying to do the responsible thing with money and finances, especially in this time, really. I mean, gosh, guys, it's hard for any of us to go out there and buy new arcade one-up products now, unless you're rich or have a lot of money saved up. Weathering this economy right now is just terrible. It's for anybody. And I consider myself someone who's I'm doing okay. Okay. Better than most. And it's tough because I run such a tight ship budget wise that I see where the money's going. every 2 weeks. I see how much money I've spent in each category. And so I feel for the people that are struggling right now, because they got to be struggling. It's a little bit of a struggle for me right now. Not much. I'm weathering it okay. But, you know, if I could say anything, let me take these things off. I don't need them. If I could say anything, just be responsible with your money. And if you have the disposable funds, great. Buy what you love. Buy what makes you happy. So with that said, I'm going to end the stream here, and wish you guys a happy rest of your weekend, and make it a great week, a safe week. Stay safe, everybody. And I'll see you again next week. Okay. So take care, and I will see you later.